Hey guys, Ben from Alpha Wrestling Reviews here. We are here with our review from last night's Raw. I'm joined by Paul and I'm joined by Sean.
Hello.
Let's get into it.
Hey.
So we started the night off with Seth Rollins. And what a day to start after the night he had against Brock. Paul, what do you want to say about it?
Good things and bad things. I'll get to the point. I think that this was probably the best part of the whole show. I think it petered out towards the end. This was a great little segment, but I think they set themselves up to fail.
It was badly booked.
No matter
Definitely
what happened,
badly booked.
there was going to be a downside to it.
I think someone was going to go home disappointed regardless.
And we said last night when we were watching it that not only were they booking this unification match, at the same time they were advertising Kofi's SmackDown
Celebration.
Yeah, that's it, SmackDown celebration. So you're sort of telegraphing here, and I think you need to think of these things through. It's like
Double booking.
It's also like last night on Mania with the Kofi WWE Championship shirts that they were selling
shirts as well. Daniel
10
Bryan
minutes
had,
before the show. It telegraphs the whole thing.
was it still the Earth's champion, and they even showed Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel backstage wearing them. Great shirt though, by the way. But at the same time, they were still selling Kofi Kingston champion shirts on the WWE shop half an hour before the bell even rung to begin their match. Whether this is WWE throwing us all off the scent and trying to keep us on our toes and guessing what's going to happen, it's a strange moment nonetheless.
I think it's a lack of communication somewhere along the line that they really need to address, because this has happened too many times.
Yeah, I also think it was bad foresight from WWE. Okay, you're going to want to get the merch out there straight away. The whole booking with Kofi as champion, you know he's going to sell merch. New Day merch flies off the shelves.
First black champion as well.
Yeah, but just hold off on the merch. You're going to sell it regardless. Don't jump the gun and throw it on the shop before the match has even begun. And try. I know we're all pretty sharp on what we think is going to happen. It's never that much of a surprise. But there were a few things they could have done without doing, i.e. the replacement title being at ringside before the match. And then they
many people picked up on that.
Yeah, it was very bad booking from WWE. Then to even attempt to unify the titles the following night, having already broadcasted the fact that Kofi would be having his championship celebrations the following night on SmackDown. Very poor from WWE.
They broadcast the advertisement for it straight after that segment aired.
Talk about rubbing it in your face as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes you laugh. And like we say, this was the best part of the show, because the crowd really did get hyped for it. They were chanting.
Opening with Seth, both shows was just...
Opening with Seth, coming out, cutting a really good promo that I really enjoyed, because he wasn't really giving Brock Lesnar too much stick. I thought he was quite fair with Lesnar. He was pointing out to the fact that Lesnar gave him a really good match.
What we didn't point out in our WrestleMania review yesterday was that apparently once the camera was panned to Seth Rollins up the ramp, as Lesnar was getting up, the crowd actually gave him a standing ovation.
Yeah, Brock was given a standing ovation by the crowd. Heyman sat by his side, held his hand, helped him up to his knees, and the crowd gave him a hell of a chant, hell of a cheer. Well received.
Well deserved.
I think he was probably quite emotional towards the end.
He's still a respected character within
definitely.
WWE. He just... the character he portrays is what they want him to be across as.
He's a very good heel. He plays it tremendously well.
I think he gets too much stick. I really do.
Going back to Seth Rollins, after he cut his wicked promo, brilliantly done, and he's fast becoming one of my favourites. Then Kofi comes out. I don't think any of us expected the New Day's music to cut. They've come into the ring, and I expected a promo of sorts. I expected a little bit of to and fro. Never expected Kofi to lay down the gauntlet and challenge Seth to a winner-takes-all match. It was a surprise.
But this again is where...
Once they announced it, were we surprised at how it was booked? I think as soon as they said it's going to happen, we all knew they weren't going to unify the titles there and then on Raw. Neither Seth or Kofi deserved to lose their titles so quickly after winning them so well and so convincingly.
The way I see it is you either go two ways. You either have, okay, one does win both belts. Well then, you're sort of stomping on one of their momentums, even though, because no matter what happened, whoever won and whoever lost, it was going to be a one-day reign. So you either do that,
And Seth is on a hell of a run at the moment. There's so much steam
and
behind
Kofi,
him.
like, look how much they're behind him, and they would drop it for one
Also,
day.
it was really, really good to see Kofi actually getting a bit of singles time. I
Yes.
love him in the New Day, but just watching him and Seth go toe to toe even for a little while last night, I forgot how good of a singles competitor he is.
Very good, very talented.
But they do all this. They've either got that, or they've got someone interfere, and the match doesn't finish, and the crowd will. Spoilers, it did happen. The crowd will end up just turning against it, and the crowd by the end of the night, actually, there were reports that they were chanting for "We want a refund."
Yes.
But we will get on to the Kofi and Seth match towards the end of this video, and we are going to move on to Hawkins and Ryder versus the Revival, a rematch for the titles.
Do you think this was better than the pre-show last night? Some people say it was.
I would have preferred, yes, actually, I would have preferred the pre-show match. Like, if I could swap them.
Swap them over,
yeah.
yeah.
I would, definitely. They put on probably, well, there wasn't that many matches, so match of the night, I'd say.
Yeah,
I sold it very well.
No, it wasn't match tonight. I said the IC title was match tonight. But this was close second. However, saying that, yes, it was a good match. It made me smile. I think the right people still won. However, it's a catch-22 because that being said, the Revival.
We know the Revival aren't sticking around for much longer. We know they're going to be out the door. For them to hold the titles much longer was pointless. To give it to someone like Hawkins and Ryder, who are, well backed by the crowd. The crowd, always cheer for them, always love seeing them perform.
But
They're great in the ring
had
together.
the momentum going. They got
There was
that
no
match
momentum
because
going
they
into
asked.
it. Yeah, there was no momentum for Ryder and Hawkins beforehand. It was kind of a case of, we want a match.
I also suppose
Please give it to us, and they got it. There was nothing leading up to it.
They
It
wouldn't
was just a case of, all of a sudden Hawkins and Ryder are facing the Revival. That was it.
they wouldn't have been able to gain any momentum without Kurt losing his losing streak.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which was always going to be.
That was probably the biggest cheer of the night, was the fact that Hawkins ended his losing streak.
260.
If the tag titles hadn't have been on the line, I think it still would have been one that was well watched and closely watched by everyone.
And can you believe this? This is what makes me laugh. Now, some of you might disagree with this, but the main part of that tag team is Hawkins. Ryder is now running off the coattails
Yeah,
of Hawkins.
Ryder
Of
is
all people.
riding the coattails of Kurt Hawkins. It's
I
amazing.
The Kurt Hawkins, actually.
The Kurt
I'm very
Hawkins.
sorry, but I actually think maybe Zack Ryder helped her. Because Hawkins would get a lot of crowd support, a lot of momentum, and maybe down the line, Ryder's going to cost them the title.
I don't see them doing that. I feel like, honestly, fancy booking, Edge might come back as an manager. Or Christian, because
He has actually, saying that though, Edge and Christian have both been seen on a lot of social media recently with the Revival. The
They don't like the way
Revival,
they've been booked either.
the Revival and Edge, and I'm not sure about Christian, but the Revival and Edge were helping Beth Phoenix get back into training for her appearance at Mania.
She was in great shape.
She was in
They've
great
done a good
shape.
job.
Yeah, she's in great shape.
Which looks to be just a one-off.
Yeah.
I think it will
Yeah.
be, yeah.
And also, just as a little side note, talking about people that wasn't on this show last night. Now, there was no Cena, but the one that surprised me, no Drew, no Reigns. He come out for the dark segment when they gave Ambrose his final goodbye. But yeah.
I fully forgot that match happened at Mania until I rewatched Wrestlemania.
It's like we said it in the review last night. The ending was just like, oh, that's the finish. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Right. But yeah, so next.
Then we go on to, as I've written it down on my notes, Baron Dustbin, not Corbin. Absolute snorefest.
Right. Now,
This was a pointless segment.
It really was.
It
It
happened.
seemed like they were just trying to fill
It was
a
a,
bit
it was
of
a
time.
space filler.
Um,
One thing you should never have on Raw after Mania is a space filler.
there's always going to be plenty of content you can use. The whole Baron Corbin angle after Kurt Angle,
Now,
it's just lost all momentum.
Well, that's the
all
thing.
momentum has gone out of it.
you're running on Baron Corbin ending the career.
Yes.
I mean, he was going to retire regardless. He's not technically
Of
ending
course.
the career, but you're running on the ideal that Baron Corbin's just ended the career of Kurt Angle. He's just, made Kurt Angle go out with a loss.
Of
And
course.
the crowd, they're booing him, and in a way, it was the right sort of heat.
He's over in the way he should be.
But then Kurt Angle comes out, and yeah, he's retired, and I love to see Kurt. It's nice for him to get a goodbye, but he got that last night of Mania. You then have just undone everything you did last night by him getting one over.
I genuinely thought when Kurt's music hit that Kurt was going to come out and announce someone else to come in and take on Corbin and squash him.
Exactly
but instead, Kurt came to the ring.
I think possibly Jordan returned. I mean, I know he's injured.
Gable, Shelton Benjamin.
Jordan might not ever return.
Even Charlie Haas. I really would have rather seen Charlie Haas come in.
He's long retired.
Yeah, I know, but so's Angle now, technically. I just think the whole Corbin and Angle thing needs to just be dropped now.
I think it will now. I think that was
only for Angle to hit an Angle slam on Corbin, which is a very nice Angle slam, for Lars Sullivan to make his debut.
The most pointless debut.
Where is Lars Sullivan attacking Kurt Angle going to take him? Because is Kurt Angle going to have another match with Lars Sullivan? Is he going to come out of retirement already?
Is
he pulling a Nikki Bella?
Why didn't I've said the same thing over
Good
and
luck
over
pulling
again.
Nikki Bella anyway.
I thought that it'd be John Cena coming out after being on Mania last night, and they'd have the previous plan, which was obviously Sullivan versus Cena.
Yeah.
Thank the heavens that did not happen, because I cannot stand Lars Sullivan.
No.
I'm going to hold my hands up. When they first started all the Lars Sullivan promos, all these little vignettes backstage, I was like, okay, don't know much about this guy. As I say, I'm not the biggest follower of NXT. That is changing though, because it's won me over. He made his entrance and I was like, looking forward to seeing what this guy's going to do. 30 seconds later, I was bored of it already.
Yeah,
It's been done so many times before. If Lars Sullivan had come out and not attacked Angle, I think maybe, just maybe, I could have got behind it in the hope that
Why doesn't
Angle would take Lars Sullivan on and be his mic man.
A little bit of clever, simplified booking. Why doesn't Lars Sullivan debut and take out some big star on the roster that he could actually then go and feud with? Not a retired man who's been documented to be broken down and now finished with wrestling.
Maybe not, is guaranteed not to lose against him because he's not going to get to fight him. Where this is going in the long run, I have no idea.
I've never been a fan of the character. I've said this before.
He was called up.
Yeah, Sean, you've got your NXT stuff. What do you make of it?
In his last days at NXT, Lars Sullivan had so much momentum. From what I can remember, he just got over by beating Keith Lee because it was the battle of the big men in NXT.
That's right.
And then
which made me sad because I love Keith Lee.
He just disappeared for a bit. Now there's loads of speculation as to why. We won't get into that, but I'm not a fan of him, but he deserves more than Kurt Angle.
Yeah, he deserves more than a retired wrestler. That retired wrestler could have been anyone. It could have been Sting, it could have been Goldberg, it could have been Batista. He deserves more than a retired wrestler that is going to go nowhere with.
He is.
Although, sorry, Paul, to interrupt, is this Angle going forward the one I predicted for Corbin and Angle? Is Kurt Angle now going to call up one of his, understudies to take on Lars Sullivan, or is Kurt Angle going to side with Corbin now in a massive twist?
No, I think that was the way to write Angle off TV for a while, just so he can go and enjoy his retirement, and then come back because he has signed a Legends.
Yeah, exactly.
He has signed a Legends deal. They have said he will be back, but I think this was their way of writing him off TV for a while. But going back to the last thing itself, none of us like him, right? So
I don't think it's a case of not liking him. I don't think any of us are really behind what they're pushing with him because we don't really know.
But I think if he's going to come on TV, I think a lot of people are in the same shoes as us. Why not give us something that at least give us the opportunity to try and get behind him, try and like him? Because how many superstars I've not liked and WWE have changed my mind? Try it with Lars. I hated Strowman when he first came in. They changed my mind on Strowman.
Strowman when he first came in was a little bit
Another
slow.
one that's wasn't on Raw last night.
I think a lot of this is going to be building up to the superstar shake-up next week.
We will have
a
very big
absolutely
video.
brilliant review for that because we are very opinionated.
But
we will move on because there's not much more we can say on
I
that.
don't want to waste another breath from
And
Lars
then
Sullivan.
my favourite moment of the night, Alexa Bliss is back.
Yeah.
I love Alexa Bliss.
I've got to be honest, glad to see her back. But
I feel for
it wasn't
Bailey.
What, yeah.
I feel for Bailey in the way that she took the loss.
Clean.
A clean loss.
Clean loss.
Yeah, at Mania.
And then she jobbed to Alexa just to see that. I would have rather seen Dana Brooke job to Alexa.
I'd just rather see Dana Brooke just not be on the show anymore.
See, we mentioned Dana Brooks, we might as well go there. It was a little bit later on, but that Dana Brooks segment, what the hell was that?
It was terrible.
It was.
And that's all we need to say on that.
Space filler.
Yeah, it was absolutely awful. But going back to the Alexa thing, the thing that frustrated me though, now I love Alexa Bliss, she is my favourite female wrestler, I've always been behind her, and yes, she is gorgeous. But she was a face at Wrestlemania as the host.
She was great as well. She's been one of my favourite hosts.
She comes out the next night and she's like, oh, that was Lexi Kaufman that was at Wrestlemania. Now she's come out, oh, she's Alexa Bliss again.
Yeah.
It's this inconsistency, and it drives me insane. Just keep consistent. It was like Stephanie McMahon before.
I feel like with the whole, now that there's no technical brand split anymore, they're doing that too much, because on SmackDown Live, Heavy Machinery are heel, but on Raw they're
Well,
face.
it's also like when that NXT call. I've forgotten the NXT call-ups. When Black and Ricochet came up, and Gargano and Ciampa, all of a sudden, what's happened previously in NXT was just completely forgotten, and it's as if they're in a different universe.
And at the time, Gargano and Ciampa were actually feuding.
Yeah, and it was a fantastic
they've
feud.
just ignored all.
And then all of a sudden, Ciampa and Gargano were buddies again.
DIY.
Mind boggles. But so basically, long story short, a quick match. I mean, weren't bad, but booking wise, it weren't great. But Bailey got in the ring. Alexa Bliss hit her DDT.
She took a bit of a head.
1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, also Bliss slapped her as well, and you can see her reaction. It was like, ow, that hurt her. But
Bliss
I know
took
one
a
was
head.
Bliss did as well. But yeah, DDT 1, 2, 3. That rhymes. This one. I've got nothing else to say. I think it's poor booking. Maybe Bailey keep taking his pinfalls. Banks. I know I keep saying similar things for similar people, but Bailey keep taking his pinfalls.
It's all he's got.
Banks.
No,
starts getting frustrated.
I want a Bailey heel turn.
I want
Bailey heel turn. Maybe the frustration gets to her. She's had enough.
Because there's
She
anything wrong with
teased
Bailey
in
if she
NXT.
is.
And did you notice her face as well? Her reactions when she come out. She done the
It's very.
flailing arm, flake Williams. No, I was going to try and say it, but I'm not even going to try. But when she still does have that smile on her face. She looks miserable. I know they just lost the belts, but I don't know. She just didn't seem this cheery last night. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe I'm just reading too much into it, but hey ho. Next.
Then we move on to the Becky Lynch segment.
Oh,
I didn't like this.
No, we're all glad to see Becky as the champion.
Yeah,
the champ.
Yeah.
No, we've got to stop saying that.
Ronda,
Becky
you
is the
little
champion.
weirdo. That
Yeah.
for me. I mean, come on. I know it's PG.
Ronda, you
come
little
up a little bit.
weirdo. I love it. Becky is destined for huge things. She's a future Hall of Famer. She's guaranteed to main event WrestleMania again. Fingers crossed it'll end better than the previous one, but we know that's not down to the competitors in the match. Why there was no real appearance from Charlotte or Ronda, I get it, they're probably having a bit of time off. We were knackered just watching
There
it.
was no authority figures the whole show. That's the other thing. This was like the superstars were making their own decisions throughout the show.
But you got your wish. Lacey Evans came to the ring.
I didn't wish it, I just predicted it. There's no way I want it at
Lacey
all.
Evans
Because
came out.
not only that, I wanted her to win the Battle Royal, so at least she had some sort of momentum behind her. But now she's just walked out and decided
Punched
to
the champ.
cheap shot the champ. And
That was
a stiff shot.
The
wasn't
woman's right is a big move.
We're all behind women's right.
Oh yeah, women's rights. But again, I hate finishers that are just simple strikes, like Big Show's KO.
That's essentially what it is.
Other than
Yeah.
the sweet tune music, that's and the super kick. But just a simple punch to the face. Because
You
why
just
don't
don't like
you do
people
that?
getting punched. It can happen any time.
Exactly.
Can't it?
But
we see matches begin that way.
You've got to build it up. Why? It frustrates me. I know wrestling's not real.
I'd really like to
But at
see her
least
take
have
her
some
hat
sort
off
of-
and hit someone with it like they do in Peaky Blinders.
At least have some sort of realness to it. And I'm not happy at all because
It was
again,
nice
she's
to
going to
see-
get fed to Lynch. If she doesn't, there's going to be pardon the pun, right?
It was nice to see after all the pointless walkouts during what were actually at the time good matches. It was nice to see Lacey Evans get a bit physical.
It was a hell of a shot. It was a
she's
proper.
come out, done her whole walking around, pose for the camera, walk around, punches Becky Lynch in the face. She sneak attacked her. It was a cheap shot.
And then tried to walk away.
Then tried to walk away, but there again, there's been nothing leading up to this.
No,
You kept
aggressive
Lacey Evans
money.
coming out. So
I think
WWE, please give us some sort of idea what you are thinking.
I think she's too green for this spot. She's far too green. I don't think she's ready. I generally don't. I'm not a fan of it.
No.
You didn't even have her in a match at WrestleMania.
Becky
You had to have another
deserves
pointless
the big
walkout
time.
segment.
Moving on.
But,
moving
next
on,
one.
we have got as Sean likes to say, the glorious one, Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, taking on the team of Aleister Black and Ricochet. And the one thing I did notice in this, Bobby Roode and Chad Gable were a bit naughty. There was ever so slight hints of heel behaviour.
No, Joe, I think it is. So we're going to skip ahead and then we're going to come back. At the end of the match, Roode and Gable lost, but at the end of the match, Roode attacked Ricochet and then he just clotheslined him in the back and then got out. The way that Gable looked, I'm wondering if Gable's going to have conflicting thoughts and Roode is going to be the one that's turning heel, and I reckon it's going to cause tension. They're actually going to
I
separate.
can see the two getting separated, not like in the too near future, but in the not so distant future. I can't see them staying together too long. There's no real momentum behind them as a tag team.
Bobby Roode hasn't had a decent singles run. Okay, yes, he was.
Let's be honest, Bobby Roode came over from. We won't talk about the other production, but he came over as a big star. Was put into NXT for a little while because it's kind of just what Vince does. And he's just gone nowhere with it.
No, he was the United States champion, which I can get behind, and we'll believe
Yeah.
that. He was also quite possibly one of the greatest NXT champions there has been.
Yeah.
In
And
terms
then-
of stature as well.
And then he was.
He must have been a great guy to have around NXT with all the youngsters as well that haven't had as much exposure
He's
as
in
he
his
has.
40s.
Yeah, the man's got so much experience and he's done a lot.
He looks good for 40s, but yeah, what
Glorious.
some people don't. God, what some people don't realise is that the man's in his 40s.
Yeah.
Like he's not a
He's
youngish
not
man.
a young up and comer. He's an established wrestler.
But that's that. It was a good match, to be fair. A good tag team match. Every time I hear Ricochet's theme, I've always got to join in
Lose
saying
my mind.
one and only.
Yeah, you kind of ruined it when we were watching it last night because you must have been ahead and all I saw on my group chat was one and only and I was like, I'm still watching an advert for Kit Kat.
Bums. But yeah, good match. Black and Ricochet won. Like I said, that attack spot at the end.
I feel like the win was good because it needed to pick up momentum after Mania.
I'm hoping they stay on SmackDown, both Black and Ricochet, and I'm hoping that's it. But I've got a feeling they're going to have one-on-one brand,
Good
one on the other,
chemistry.
and that's what's going to split them up for
The
a singles
chemistry
run.
between them, I'd like to see them stick together, whether that be as a tag team or whether they split and have a match or two as singles competitors.
Right.
But that was really all that was on that show.
Yeah.
Next we have Bobby Lashley versus Dean Ambrose in what was billed as his farewell match. Now,
People are certain that he's gone. I was until last night. I was certain he's gone until last night.
we don't want Dean to go. We love Dean.
Well, he's
I don't know many people that
tremendous talent.
aren't a fan of Dean, but the way it's been promoted, advertised so much, there's so much talk of Dean Ambrose leaving, it's becoming a little bit suspicious. We know for a fact Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson are going to be leaving, which I think is a huge shame. They've been poorly booked and haven't been given as much of a chance as they really deserve, because they are hands down one of the top 10 tag teams that have ever been in WWE, not based on what they've done in the WWE, but what they've done
Elsewhere.
Yeah,
Just achieving
So-
their careers.
and they've had no coverage over their contracts ending and them going elsewhere. Yet it's been everywhere with Dean, absolutely everywhere.
So can I just
Yeah, go on.
say this? What happens in this segment, because I found this hilarious. So anyway, so Dean's already out there. They're now alluding to. They're now talking more about the fact that it's your husband, Renee.
That
What's
has been
going on,
mentioned an
Renee?
awful lot more, whereas before it was very much kept under wraps. She's very.
Which I found really frustrating. Oh, what's going on with Dean? How do I know? Where's your bleeding husband?
Yeah.
I think the last time all this Dean's wife came up, it was with The Miz, which I thought was going to end up being a really good mixed tag.
And Renee
match.
slapped him, because he made the comment about the fact, well, you're the one sleeping with him. But yeah, that was good. But so anyway, we get to this part.
Lucky Renee.
Dean's in the ring. Lashley and Leo Rush come down.
Kofi Kingston Jr.
Lashley obviously is one of my favourite wrestlers, but Leo Rush is standing there and he's sort of stuttering and he's not saying anything. He's getting the mic to his face and he's stopping. He doesn't know what to say. So Lashley, while they're up on the apron, sort of away facing where the hard camera is, Lashley tells Rush to give him the mic, and he just stands there. He looks at Dean and he just turns around and he goes, "Don't worry, Dean. While you're gone, I'll look after your wife for you." And I just sat there with my face just like.
It was almost as if someone flipped a switch in the back of Dean's brain, and all of a sudden he'd gone into attack mode. He was in passive Dean mode for a minute, just looking forward to a match.
I mean, if someone made that sort of comment about my missus, I think I'd say the exact same. Well, I'd do the exact same thing. But yeah,
if it was Bobby Lashley, I'd do nothing, and I'd say thanks very much, Mr. Lashley. I appreciate your efforts.
I remember just sitting there, reacting to that. I was just like, "Oh, damn, that was a harsh one."
The match itself was a little bit.
Wasn't a match.
Wasn't
Didn't
a
even
match.
start. It was near enough a complete beatdown. I mean, Dean got a few strikes in, but they ended up by the announce table, which obviously on Raw is up by the entrance ramp, and Lashley ended up just spinebuster through the
Decent spinebuster as well.
Yeah, spinebuster through the announce
Lashley
table.
does hit him very well.
And Renee actually came over to Dean's aid this time. She's never done that before. And then later on, once another segment was in, which is what we'll talk about next, Michael Cole asked Renee how Dean is, and she just said, I don't want to talk about it. And that was all we heard until the dark segment, which...
If it was a case of they booked this whole Dean thing in a very normal manner, there wasn't all this publicity about him leaving, there weren't all these mentions about Renee Young being his wife, then I could completely believe he was departing and I'd be genuinely quite gutted. But at the moment I'm very hopeful for him to stay.
I think
It's just been booked very, very obviously.
I think it will be held off until
now they're generating heat.
I think it will be held off until the pay-per-view. Yeah, I think it will be held off until the pay-per-view, to be honest.
Which one?
Surprise
Money in the Bank?
Surprise entrance and winner of Money in the Bank?
No, I think maybe Lashley's... No, I think maybe Lashley's in Money in the Bank, he's going up for it, and I think Dean's going to appear out of nowhere and
When
push him off.
Has Bobby Lashley been in the Money in the Bank match
No.
before in WWE? He has.
Oh, yes, he has. Yes, he has. WrestleMania 22. He was in the Money in the Bank match at WrestleMania 22 with the one that RVD won.
Yes. I think Bobby Lashley, it's going to sound crazy, I think he's suited to matches like Money in the Bank. He's very aggressive, he's very strong, very athletic.
He's extremely athletic for his
I don't
build,
think his
stature.
abilities as such are broadcast very well at all.
I don't think
It's
he's
always,
built very
there's
well.
always so much focus on him just being a strongman. There are strongmen, and then there are people such as Bobby Lashley, Apollo, Brock Lesnar, even people like Samoa Joe, Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
They're so athletic and quick for guys of their stature. Constant focus is on them being strongmen.
Hanson and Rowe, two very big
Oh
guys.
wow, especially Hanson.
Very
Oh,
athletic.
God.
Dare I say Otis
Yes.
with the caterpillar.
That
Eat your heart out,
actually,
Scotty too hot.
I was going to say that actually is my most hated finisher of all time is the worm. I
Head of the
cannot.
people's elbow?
They do this stupid worm. He does all this dance and then he just slaps him in the chest.
You've clearly never had
go
worms, Paul.
away.
And next.
Next was, I think, a highlight, the Sami Zayn return. Now,
They could have kept it quiet.
they could have kept it quiet, and they should have kept it
like
quiet.
a thin open challenge,
But-
out comes Sam.
An old friend of mine who's big into his wrestling, independent circuit, Japanese circuit, he loves it, he loves it a lot. And he always used to say to me, you know someone's going heel because their clothing gets darker, their hair gets cut.
And you made the you made the comment about the hair, and I made the
No,
comment about
it
the
was
trousers.
me.
Oh yeah,
I
and
was-
I made the comment about the shorts,
I was
the
like, trying
trousers.
heel turn because he's had a haircut and his clothes are darker.
And it was his mannerisms as well. It was the way
The
he
weird
was.
dancing kind of thing.
It was like a
The
sarcastic dance,
yeah.
which I thought he was brilliant at. When he turned heel back in 2017, when he helped Owens beat Shane at Hell in a
I
Cell.
don't think that was a very good heel turn.
But it's not that. It's he near enough had the same character, but he turned it into like this arrogant. He was trying to be the same person, but he managed to twist it to a certain way where it was the same person, but he was making it out to be arrogant and a heel persona.
Now I'm a big sucker.
Clever.
WWE, they'll have a face wrestler, they'll book him as a heel, and if I'm a fan of him as a face wrestler, I'll still like him for a couple of weeks as a heel, and then eventually I'll be like, oh, I hate them. Oh, WWE, I hate you. Why would you do this to me and my favourite wrestlers?
Why have you done your job in making this character hateable?
They've done it with Sami Zayn, and at the moment I love Sami Zayn as a heel, but I guarantee in a couple of weeks I'll hate him.
Do you know who the best example of that is?
Miz?
Quite recently. No, well, actually, Miz is a good switch.
Miz set.
But at the moment I still love Miz.
Best example of that recently, very recently, is Daniel Bryan.
No, because I still love him as a heel.
That's the thing.
He is one of the best heels. And I don't understand how someone who is so likeable as a face can also be so likeable and so hateable as a heel. He does it better
his
than
job.
I reckon going like back through his career in WWE, he's always been a really lovable, hateable heel. Like with the whole yes/no thing.
I think he's better as a heel than he is a face. The whole yes movement was superb. Him versus the Authority was mad. Him as a heel is just so much better.
He had nowhere. I mean, when he first come back out of retirement, yes, he did, because obviously it's such a big thing. But that, I mean, his booking decision, putting him against Big Cass, for the love of God, you know, it killed his push as a face. And I think, as much at the time I didn't, I was happy to eat humble pie because I got it wrong, and I think him turning heel was the best thing.
Yeah.
It was great. But anyway, I think we're lingering on this one too much. Elias.
Oh, hold on. We were talking about Sami Zayn versus as his heel turn. We haven't mentioned Sami Zayn taking on Balor yet.
Oh yeah.
Again, because so much excitement has happened over the last couple of days, we're all still in a bit of a
So much wrestling.
So much wrestling, but still not enough time for all this wrestling.
So I think that was the other problem with the crowd, because it was the same place. The crowd were nowhere near as vocal.
I think I said this to you guys as well. The crowd were restless on Raw, and it was the same with us. We were restless and getting a bit fed up with things we wouldn't really get fed up with normally, because we were tired as well.
Mm-hmm. They were nowhere near as vocal as most night after Mania crowds,
I
because
don't
the
think
show
it-
was 8 hours. They were so burnt out.
As Monday Night Raw goes, it wasn't that bad. But having said that, for a go-home show after Mania,
It was the worst one
it
in
was
years.
terrible.
It was the worst one in years.
Shame on you.
Yeah, I was going to say this at the end. It was the worst Raw after Mania that I've seen in a long, long time.
But the Sami Zayn segment for me, his heel turn, superb, great, can't wait to see more of it.
Mm-hmm.
I will end up hating you in a couple of weeks, Sammy, so I apologise for that. It's me being fickle. But then Finn Balor comes out. Sami Zayn mentioned, standing in the ring, cutting a promo and says, "I'll challenge anyone out there."
I thought this would be one of the a good call up after Mania. No.
But Balor,
It was nice to see him get some TV time as the Universal Champion.
IC champion.
Intercontinental Champion.
But Balor come out. It wasn't going to be for the IC title, but what you may have seen was he actually was saying to the ref, "No, put the belt on the line. Let's make it interesting. Put the belt on the line." So
I
that's
do
what
like
I'm going to say to him.
how Kofi, Seth, and Balor all appeared with their titles and were like, we are
have
all
a
defending,
fighting
fighting champions.
For the first time in a long time, we have a lot of babyface champions. I remember there was a time only recently where I think all but one were all heel champions.
All but one babyface.
Yeah, at the moment. Off the top of my head, I
Samoa
can't
Joe.
find it. Samoa Joe, and then on the Iconics Women's Tag Team Champion.
True.
But yeah, so in the
match
end,
itself.
the match finished with a coup de grace.
I've got to be honest as well, I stayed up to watch this, and this was the last moment of Raw last night I watched before I went to sleep.
Would have been the wrong time.
And I did pick the wrong time to go to sleep. I was so tired and I was like, no, it's fine, I can watch the rest in the morning. And I remember waking up last night in the middle of the Zayn and Finn Balor match, and Finn had just hit the coup de grace, and I was like, oh, I've missed something here. And so I went to sleep and watched the rest of it in the morning. I'm annoyed at myself. I stayed up and watched the first couple of hours.
Well,
and
saying that though, It was only the next segment that was good. After that, it was just nah.
The next segment, if you were to tell me it was going to happen at the end of a Raw and I had to sit through the first 2 hours and 45 minutes of a bit of wrestling and mostly adverts, I don't think I'd have bothered.
No, but I had a feeling it'd be something like this. Anyway, we're getting a bit ahead.
We will go on to the moment we're speaking of.
So long story short, Finn Balor won with the coup de grace, pinned Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn then turned on the crowd,
Wicked promo.
Basically called them fickle, like Daniel Bryan. Really, it was a bit like a Daniel Bryan segment. Quite interesting. Sami Zayn is heel. It'll be interesting to see where he goes in the shake-up next week. But yeah, next we have the Elias segment. He basically gets told, you find out earlier on, that he wasn't happy with the fact that John Cena has now cut him off 2 years in a row at Wrestlemania. So what he's going to do is he's going to repeat his concert and he's going to do it tonight. What happens? We're sitting there, he starts his concert. Oh, he starts to try and rap, doesn't he?
That's right, he decides he's going to go off and do his own little rapping. And to his credit, it was quite good. I was very invested in what he had to say.
Quite good. It was about as useful as a chocolate fire guard.
A pocket on the back of a shirt. As soon as he mentioned the words, the next person to interrupt me, honestly, we all know you're an Elias fan, but the next person to interrupt me is a dead man. And
gong.
I think I said on our group chat, like a second before the gong hit, I was like, holy.
Now, I'm not exaggerating, okay? You usually see this in movies. I was sitting there eating some popcorn that I had left over from the other night, and I had one in my mouth. I heard the gong, and I just stopped, and it fell.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wait,
my
what?
Heart,
Undertaker coming out.
All of a sudden, my heart was going 100 million beats an hour. The adrenaline kicked in.
And did you notice he kept...
also, I'm sorry to cut you off. When I heard the gong, I was like, the Undertaker's back. And then I was like, classic Cena heel. Classic Doctor of Thugonomics. He's going to come out to the Undertaker's music,
It took a while.
come through the smoke, and it's just going to be John Cena stood there laughing in Elias's face. But lo and behold, it was the dead man himself.
Yeah.
A few pounds lighter.
And I was going to say, did you notice that he kept the straps down just so he could show the chiseled chest off?
Topless Undertaker is more frightening than Undertaker with a shirt.
For a 53-year-old man, he looked good, but I think he forgot to dye his hair because the top
Not a
bits
lot
were
left of
white.
it.
My God, I think you should go back to 2012 when he showed
A little
it.
mohawk thing.
I didn't enjoy it.
No, I didn't like it either, to be honest.
I
thought he looked best.
I watched the highlights this morning. Okay, yes, physically he's the best he's looked for a while.
Oh, what, you're talking about now on the segment?
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the hair.
No, didn't enjoy it. Because where's he going from here? Saudi Arabia is until June.
Nope.
And
Is he going to keep
I don't
interrupting?
want Elias versus
I don't-
Undertaker at Saudi Arabia.
No, because it'll be like the pointless
It'll
casket
be a
match.
squash for Undertaker, and
British
Elias
Rumble.
is just going to lose any momentum he's got going
Unless
forward.
this is a thing where he just, every few weeks, he just appears, randomly takes out someone, and then it leads to him actually finally facing someone.
Maybe
in June.
Undertaker's just building a little bit of
I'm so over the dead man.
momentum
I want
for
American
himself.
Badass.
Yeah, but this is one gripe I have with not wrestling as a whole, but fans got tired of John Cena because he was a heel. His gimmick as a face. His gimmick, John Cena, you can't see me, never give up. All this determined, a positive character. Some fans didn't like it because they grew tired of what they, see as a PG gimmick, and they're old school. They want Attitude Era stuff. They have to understand that they're not the only people watching wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
There are definitely some wrestlers that I like, that I know people that love the PG era and who are only just getting into wrestling, will love Cena and hate the people I like.
I never had a problem with Cena at all, so I was one
No,
of
I
those
know.
people.
I like John Cena as a doctor.
Never once had a problem with him.
The word life. I love John Cena when I see him on chat shows and he's talking about Make-A-Wish with his goofy haircut.
But yeah, didn't enjoy the Undertaker.
But again, would
I
you
think
rather
this
have
is-
the Undertaker back as the dead man, or not at all?
I think this is
But why?
going to be a thing where you need to wait and see. I
I
think
do
you're
think there
right.
are things coming with it, and also there were so many opportunities for them to bring him back as the American Badass. And don't get me wrong,
He pitched the idea.
if he came back as the American Badass, I'd lose my mind. I'll never forget the first time he did it, and I was like,
I just think
hot
it's
damn.
wishful thinking. It's a bit of go west. For those of you that know what I mean by that, congratulations. But
Band or the song?
But you just ruined it. You ruined it. Why'd you ruin it? But I don't know. I think I generally think before you had the absolute abysmal match at Crown Jewel with him, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Kane.
100% shocking.
He was originally going to have one final match, him versus HBK, and HBK was going to beat him. I think that wasn't a rumour, but I think he was going to beat him, and that would have been it.
Shawn's done now.
I could beat up Shawn Michaels.
But he wasn't. When he first come back, he actually agreed to come back for about 4 matches.
Yeah, and then he had that.
And then he had that absolute.
He was embarrassed by the performance he put on.
What performance he put on? I think he was the best one in that entire match. He hadn't really lost much. It was everyone else. But
it was a strange booking, and again, the whole Crown Jewel thing, I'm not a fan of it. I know many people aren't. Some of you might be. But the whole thing in itself is a bad ploy from WWE to generate themselves in a new foreign market. Hence, I believe, Jinder Mahal's title run was to generate, to promote WWE in Saudi Arabia.
And that was a painful couple of months.
Nothing against Jinder Mahal personally.
I still remember when I thought it was still going to be Jinder versus Brock at Survivor Series, and I was just like,
The whole Crown Jewel thing for me is just a dead end. For Undertaker to generate some heat and some momentum for him to have a match at
it's
Crown
a giant
Jewel.
house show. It doesn't mean anything. The
Exactly.
only titles that have ever changed hands on those shows are ones that have been vacated. So
he's a big name when he pulls a crowd. That's why.
And he brings in the money.
But also, didn't the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia want Yokozuna at the original Crown Jewel, only to be told that he's actually dead? So,
yeah, he wanted
big wrestling fan.
No disrespect to you, Crown Prince.
Please don't find us and,
we love you.
Our final match of the evening was
terrible. Kofi Kingston
It started
laying out an open challenge for Seth Rollins. Both titles on the line.
Winner takes all.
For me, straight away,
We
I
knew
didn't want it to happen.
No, because like we said at the start, we knew this was going to end badly.
Not just because of that. It was like, I like Kofi, I like Seth. If they are going to have a genuine match and one of them is going to take home both the titles, I'm going to be disappointed to see the other lose it.
Yeah.
2, if they don't go down that line, they're going to have someone interfere and it's just going to kill it. I can't think of anyone coming out and interfering that could have given that match any purpose.
I'm just really annoyed that I stayed up till 4 o'clock to watch the bar interfere.
Yeah, well,
thanks WWE.
Sean had a very
we're
good
tired
point.
again.
He said to me he thought it might be a returning Bray Wyatt. Now we saw some sort of absolutely awful vignette where a dinosaur popped out of a box. We're not kidding.
I thought it was an advert for Wendy's or something.
I generally thought it was some sort of toy advert, but no, we generally saw an advert of a toy popping out of a box, dinosaur head, and some weird, creepy ass promo, which we reckon it probably is Bray Wyatt.
Let's face it, that dinosaur is going to be on WWEshop.com as of tonight, so
probably as of about 10 minutes before it aired. But so we thought it might be Bray Wyatt, didn't we? Or you thought it might be Bray Wyatt. No, it was the bar. The most pointless person or people to interrupt that match. The match actually was starting off okay. It was slow, but it was okay. And then we got.
I would have been happy with like a double counter or a double
I'd have been happy just to
draw.
see Kofi and Seth have a match as like champion versus champion. Nothing on the line, just respect.
No, but they booked themselves into the corner as they always do, and they never learn. It's a definition of insanity. You do the same thing over and over again, expecting stuff to change.
The match is going well. It's flowing nicely. Kofi and Seth doing what they do best.
Seth gets thrown to the outside. Kofi's up on the top of the turnbuckle, and all of a sudden
What's
you get
that big bright orange spiky thing?
throws him off the top of the turnbuckle. DQ. Seth tries to help Kofi, and then vice versa. And Seth issues an open challenge.
And then they went 1-on-1 in a tag team match.
Yeah.
Holla holla.
In a Teddy Long right there. But and oh god, the crowd just turned here.
And I
They
can fully understand it.
chanting, "We want refunds."
There was an estimated 3,000 fans that walked out.
Yeah, people walked, and they had.
It's just
very,
not what you
very
want for a
bad
Raw
backlash.
after Mania.
No.
Very
But
disappointing.
The ending, we're not even going to go into the match because the match was dreadful. The ending of the match was Trouble in Paradise to Cesaro, followed up by a curb stomp. I will say, on a little up note, the sell of that curb stomp from Cesaro was pretty good. He nearly enough rolled in on himself. Seth got the win. That was it.
And
then both celebrated with the belts.
Seth and Kofi stood tall to end Raw. And
Can I just say, I forgot to say this earlier, it's reminded me, one little side that made me laugh, at the very start of the match when they're announcing these, it's because Seth accepted the challenge, you've got his music playing in the background, not Kofi's, and you've got Woods and Big E. One's doing the splits,
Yes.
and then the other one's standing there with Francesca too. And obviously
Just doing
he's rocking along to Rollins' music, and I thought that was hilarious. But yeah, that was about the funniest part of the show. So.
Big props to Big E Langston for pulling off the splits as well as he did.
Who?
I still call him Big E Langston, I don't care.
Who's this Langston fellow you speak
It's
of?
Big E's alternative ego. But please don't do it again, because I really was concerned that I might see
He's just going to be called an E soon.
I was really concerned that I might see Big E and Smalley pop out of his. It was very strange.
No.
And I believe that wraps up our Raw review, gents.
Yeah, it
I'm
wasn't.
just going to ask for a genuine, opinion. Give it a rating out of
I
5.
was just about to say that.
But not compared to Raw after Mania shows, but just to Raw shows.
I'm just
in
going to give it a genuine overall.
2.
No, I'll be a little
I
bit
think-
nicer. A very, very low 3 stars.
I think a 3 is generous. It had a lot of potential. There was a lot that could have happened with people coming back. I do feel they could have done more with Seth and Kofi.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't need the bar to come out. Sorry, Sheamus and Cesaro. I'll give
I'm
it.
bored with the bar now.
I'm with Paul. A generous 3.
Low, yeah, a very, very low 3 for me. But low.
Fingers crossed SmackDown is better, because
Usually is. Now, I've actually, on my own, before we decided to come up with this channel, I've been keeping a tally since the start of 2019 of who I thought won, basically SmackDown versus Raw. And Raw have only ever, in my mind, Raw have only ever won twice. They won on the night that Batista attacked Flair, and the go home for WrestleMania.
do you think a
Raw.
lot of it is
Really?
largely in part?
Every other week, both of those Raws were just winning. Every
Do you
other
think-
week, SmackDown have won.
Do you
for me.
think it's largely in part that Raw have got a
Too
bit more
much.
time to fill? I worked out last night that there was 3 hours.
Fox want to make SmackDown 3 hours as well. I think that's
but
just going to run
no.
into the ground.
Think of it this way, from a commercial point of view. Raw last night was 3 hours. Right? I woke up in the morning and watched the rerun. It was 2 hours long, because there was an hour less of nothing but ad breaks. That is all we're going to see when SmackDown goes to Fox.
The ad
is
breaks
an hour's
were-
worth more of ad breaks.
If you're watching, especially we were watching it on Sky Sports now, if you're watching it on something like that,
USA.
or our USA network,
Yeah.
the ad breaks, and they're the same ad breaks over and over. It
Far
is
too much WWE
painful.
superstars out of character as well. Didn't enjoy seeing Lana and Rusev running around a Walmart doing their shopping together.
Oh, Jeff. But anyway, so yeah,
I'd say that wraps it up.
lackluster Raw, to be honest, but
Fingers crossed they give us something more to talk about.
we're praying
on
for SmackDown tonight. What we might try and do is once we do our Raw review and our SmackDown review, towards the end of the week, maybe Thursday or Friday, we will do a little podcast, and then at the end of it we will give our prediction on SmackDown versus Raw,
Yeah.
basically who we thought would win for the week. Also, I just want to say on a little side note, my If It Were Up To Me video is probably going to be pushed back a little bit further. We've had a lot of issues at the moment. We're still trying to get our feet with all this.
Yeah, still getting used to everything, but the If It Were Up To You thing is something I'm looking forward to as a viewer.
So we're going to probably push that back. I'd say for now a week. Okay, I'm sorry, but yeah, we're going to wrap it up here. So I've been Paul,
I've been Sean.
I've been Ben.
and you've been watching Alpha Wrestling Reviews. Take care, stay safe, like and subscribe, pretty please.
Ciao.